Welcome to the Wager Makers Podcast with Webb and Schmidt.
Brick by brick, baby. I'm freaking out, Webb.
I was told there'd be no man. Stupidity's going to be an asset. What a bunch of crybabies.
Hello, my name is Steve Smith, and this is Rob Weber. Say hey, Webb.
Hello. What's up, Smith?
What's up, Webb? I'm Smith. That's Webb, and we are the Wager Makers. Thank you all for listening. This is Wager Maker Podcast, Webb, number 95.
Brick by brick, baby. It goes quick. 95.
We're almost triple digits, baby. Almost.
Yeah, I know. We got to come up with a gimmick to do for sure. I know we start at number 1 or some shit. 95. Don't leave 95. I didn't look anything up, but Richard Dent came to me. I thought he was 95 on that Bears 46 defense. He was good. I like that team. Cowboys sucked at that point anyway, so I wasn't upset about that team. I like Walter Payton and a couple of other. I like the safety and a couple of linebackers. So I had no problem with that team.
Funny, I was watching like some kind of one of those Dateline shows the other night, and I forgot about that one safety, Gale, I think is his last name, that his girlfriend like shot another one of his girlfriends.
Yeah, that was odd.
And for a while, he was like one of the main suspects there and everything, but it turned out it was some crazy broad that he banged, and then ended up killing the lady that was getting ready to have his child. Really?
Yeah. It was like
an unborn baby,
NBC.
right?
Yeah, and that was great. I mean, that was almost kind of like the Ray Caruso thing. Yeah,
right.
And even the other dude, like Dave Dillerson, was on that team, and he was the first CTE guy.
Oh yeah,
he was the dude that killed himself, one of the first ones. And then now even what's his name, McMahon's all fucked up with that, Jim McMahon.
Yeah, obviously that great teams. Richard Dent, a real big part of that defense, the defensive end. Also, honorable mention, Pittsburgh Steeler. I had this dude's jersey back in the day.
Greg Lloyd.
Greg Lloyd, real solid outside. One of those explosive outside pass rushing, outside linebacker, stand up outside linebacker, defensive end, whatever you want to call them in those Steelers type defenses. But Richard Dent, the Bears defense back in that day,
was a 4-3 defense man. Did he play on any other teams? I remember him. I think I remember your jersey.
Yeah, I don't remember him being with anybody else.
Because he was good, but I don't know how long he played. That's why I don't see him. I don't remember him on any other teams. Maybe he might have been
because he kind of played after the Steelers' real heyday.
Yeah,
and then probably in the Bill Cowher years, he was there. I think stuff like that, but I don't know.
He was good.
So, well, once again, I think people in the know really listen to this show because we kind of gave Toronto and Canada some shit last week.
It's not even Toronto. The country of
Canada. Some shit last week. Sure enough, this week, Toronto comes out and says, "Blue Jays, come on."
Next thing you know, Yep. How about that? You gotta love it.
So I mean, this seems to happen every week.
It's true.
About, and it's especially something that we like rail about. That the dude comes back on and it's like
the whole state of Canada. What's Trudeau? I don't know what the prime minister. That must have been his deal. He must be listening.
Right. So since we're on countries, I was thinking about some other countries this week that maybe we could look into because you think about England, Webb. We were watching that Euro Cup last week for whatever reason. We watched soccer for about a month.
Yes.
The Euro Cup thing, and they're big.
It's on during the day.
And of course, it was the whether you call it the Open or the British Open. That was all going on last week. So I started thinking about England. I'm like, man, England's got a fairly reputable, sports background with, Wimbledon and the British Open and all this stuff. And then, so we were watching, and I think I had the under in that game with England, and it was England and Italy.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I guess apparently, some dudes like during the shootout, a couple of the black guys on the England team were the ones that missed. Yeah. And so I guess all these people in England are like getting all racial about it and everything online and social media and everything.
I think the dude had a mural even in one of those towns, and the mural was vandalized or whatever. Like he had a picture up the town he was from type thing, and people wrote some racial shit on his mural. But then a bunch of people like copied over that with like hearts and shit and love. So it turned out to be a decent.
All right, so we're not going to bash all the England people for a few bad ones, but I just wanted to get into a little bit about like England. What have you do sports wise, other than hosting these events and having this tradition where the Queen has to come in and like I was watching even that same day the Prince Harry's brother, his wife.
Aren't they in America now? Well,
Well, the other one, the one that's still over there, the one that's still doing all the pomp and circumstance.
I don't even
My
know.
wife would know. She was here. I would. But Kate, is that the other girl's name?
Oh,
Kate?
Yeah.
So she was there at Wimbledon in the afternoon.
The sister. Is Kate the sister?
I don't know. I'm confused. But Kate, not the one that's over here starting all the shit in America.
Right. No,
the one that's over there still doing the thing. Right.
Oh,
so
maybe yeah.
Right. So she's there at Wimbledon in the morning saying congratulations to the dude that won. Sure enough, they were in the box with the family at the England game later on that night. But in sports, so I looked at that. I was like, man, I don't remember like England really. You think of them as the World Cup. Oh, England soccer and all this shit. Sure. First of all, they've never won this Euro thing ever. This was this, so I'm assuming in a shootout in the final, I would imagine is as close as you can get.
Yeah, I guess.
Especially because it went 5 and then it went extra. So
even more shootouts. Yes.
So that started in 1960, which doesn't seem that long ago, but then you add it up and it's 61 years. It's 61 years ago that
it's funny. You don't realize it's 2021. That's a fucking long ass fucking time ago.
Right. Some dude the other day was talking about something on TV and he said something about, man, it happened, in the 1980s. And I was like, well, that's not that big a deal. And he was like, yeah, it's fucking 40 years ago.
Right.
That is right. So whatever. Or he might have said 40 years ago first. And I was like, oh shit. And he said 1980 something. I was like, holy shit. That's not that long ago.
Right. I was alive.
Sign of getting old. So 1960, they never won. In the World Cup, I believe I did a little research. I think they won the World Cup in 1966. So just a few years after that. It's been a long time. Andy Murray won Wimbledon in 2016. So I guess I give him some of that.
Yeah, but he got hurt. He's good. He was like one of them Playboy type dudes over there. Like he was like a young kind of rock star tennis player dude. He was good, but he's been hurt. I think this might have been the first year he was back. I won some money on him. He's married to some.
I got no beef with that. Yeah, it's a pro tennis player, get around a little bit. Hey, do your thing. You do you, bro. You do right. And then as far as the British Open, the last English guy, or I guess Brit, whatever you call it, Nick Faldo was in 1992. So that's 39 years ago on their home course that they haven't had a guy.
That's a long time. I mean, especially playing golf over there. I would seem to me it would be a huge advantage to be from there to play golf there.
You'd think they play there a ton.
Right. And then used to that. I mean, it's got to be a little bit different. Right. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Right. Exactly.
The British Open always kills me too. They could be playing in Hawaii or something. The British Open always looks like they're playing in this old minefield, like old like there's wind blowing. It's usually wet. This particular year it seemed like it was decent weather, but the wind was still blowing. But it's usually gray. The place usually looks like it's got potholes. It looks like they're out in the middle of the south.
It's in a fucking parking lot. It looks like, or like an old mall, like a decrepit mall used to be there. But how did golf get? I mean, it comes from Scotland. Like Scotland's even worse weather than fucking England. Like that's out there on an island, like a dirty, cold island, like hilly, craggly, like rocks, island. Crazy weather.
Nothing better to do, I guess. Nothing better to do. Hit a ball around. Right. I enjoy it, but oh well. Yeah, but speaking and right in the thing, we got our. We can't even. The douchebag of the week, we can't just give it to the same people every week. Some people are just douchebags. It's apparent. It's very apparent.
Right. That's just true.
So, of course, DeChambeau comes out basically and says he's not driving good because his driver sucks.
Right.
Basically what says.
Yeah, right.
And but more power to Cobra, who's actually I have Cobra irons, and I can tell you they suck too. But that's not because the irons suck. It's because I suck.
Right.
At least I can admit that. And then, but the guys from Cobra came back and said, "Look, man, we bend over backwards for this motherfucker. Because if there's anybody on tour that is going to them every day saying, this has to be tweaked here, this has to be a changed angle here, this has to be moved, it's that fucking dumbass."
Right. That's not you. Like once you sign a contract, like, oh, what do we do? Why did we pick this motherfucker?
Right. So every day he's coming back with this, that. I worked on this trajectory, loft angle, fucking all this bullshit.
Spin ratio.
Right. So there's got to be nobody worse than, and it's not like, I mean, they're I don't know what titanium, whatever the hell they make golf clubs out of these days.
They were made a week ago. It's not like a club from 1970. It's the top of the line fucking technology available.
That's what I'm saying. How fast if they get it to you in a week and it's got new modifications, that's pretty amazing.
Right. Literally, it was. They drew it up. The engineers drew it up, Monday, and he was playing with it on Thursday.
Right. Then, of course, Brooks Koepka has to come the next day and kind of say, "Oh man, I had a rough round today, but my driver was great. I love my driver."
Yeah, well, that's
stuff like that's always fun.
That's a good thing for golf, at least. I mean, at least it keeps them on Twitter and some other shit, right?
Keeps them on the Wager Makers podcast. When else
No
will we
doubt.
talk about golf?
Right. Well, it's coming. The day's 50 days from today.
That's what I was going to get to. First, I was going to say, look, congratulations to we were kind of tough on Giannis a couple times this year.
Yeah, I want to talk about that real quick. First of all, the press conference and everything was amazing. I don't know if the dude could be more humble or whatever. And how about the Bucks? I mean, he was a second-round draft pick. They were showing him when he got drafted. That dude was this lanky looking like I damn sure wouldn't have picked him. I'll tell you that right now. And even when we saw, if you look at it, second-round NBA, you look at it on your phone or whatever, you hear it, you're like, what's this dude ain't even never going to come to the United States. That's a waste of a pick right there. But anyways, 50 points out of 105 points. So he had 49% of the team's points in the closeout game. The blocks were ridiculous. The defense is crazy. It was 17 from 19 from the foul line. And he scored 50 points on 25 shots.
Unbelievable. Great effort. The whole series, really. And the cool thing I like about that is he plays a physical brand of basketball, which is that's really what won. Phoenix had a lot going for him, and we talked about that going into the series and stuff, but they just kind of pounded on him. They couldn't stop Middleton. Chris Paul couldn't stop Middleton. Booker couldn't stop Middleton. None of those guys, and nobody could stop Giannis. And Giannis was actually hitting turnarounds and little jump shots. Crazy. And if he's doing that, man, you can't do anything. But then he's just going to go straight. He's just going to put his shoulder down and go straight to the hole too.
And he first of all, he can take one step from the 3-point line, and he's in the middle of the lane. And he's so big and so strong. But he's got up and under moves, crazy, skill, Kevin McHale type shit. Kevin McHale, big goofy white dude, scored, but Giannis is this crazy super athletic freak with plus the moves. So it was impressive, and it was a good dude. I'm happy for the Bucks, happy for a small market team. Although it wasn't Phoenix was wearing a black villain hat or anything like that. But the one thing, at least it wasn't, there was no no press conference when he's like, I'm going to stay here. These are who I'm going to play with. Pretty savvy move bringing Drew Holiday in by the GM. And then an underrated move was the dude Tucker who came in. How happy is he was on the Rockets, the start of the season. So good for them. I mean, Phoenix had a great run. I think Monty Williams got out-coached a little bit there at the end. Once they switched Drew Holiday to, I guess they put him on Devin Booker or Chris Paul. Chris Paul was done, and then when they switched, whoever Drew Holiday played really didn't do much at all.
Yep. Well, he's big D, and even Holiday had a couple big. I think in game 6, maybe he had, or game 5, he had a huge steal at the end of the game. Booker was coming down, kind of had a chance to make a shot to tie it up, and he's the one that pulled out the steal and then went down and started the alley-oop, I think.
That was
and Drew Holiday's always been a class act. I liked him here when he was here at the Pelicans. Obviously, bad situation. Anybody that's here in the Pelicans is a bad situation. Drew Holiday, quality dude. First of all, I think his wife he sat out almost a whole year when dealing with his wife with cancer one year and stuff like that. And quality dude, always plays both sides of the court, which is always cool. And
they were just real easy to root for. I mean, not that I was, I wasn't upset who was going to win the game. There's kind of both underdog, small market teams. But one thing that just annoys the fucking shit out of me, Chris Paul, they're going to bash him or don't bash him. I heard the other day, I don't know if I told you this, he made, I think I'm going to text you and Nick today, $334 million on the court so far. And it's offensive.
That doesn't include the State Farm commercials.
State Farm money, no. And he turned down the $40 million extension for next year. So he's going to play again another couple years and make at least $40 million a year. So whatever,
Well, the motherfucker owes me $6,000. I can tell you that because I know we talked about this earlier on. I had the $500 play at plus 1,300 for the Phoenix to win it all, and that was before the series started. At least I got some entertainment value out of my money there, and I made a little hedge bet to get a few dollars back on Milwaukee at the end.
Plus series.
I was
But
counting,
dude,
especially 2-0. 2-0.
2-0. I was like,
I'm counting that shit, dude.
And even I was in the same boat. I was with you with the. I mean, I was agreeing with you even with the Knights, man. Once the Knights got by
Colorado, it was over.
Once Minnesota, I thought that was the hardest thing, and I was like, dude, they're going to be in the finals for sure. So,
no such luck, my friend.
No, that's why they call it gambling.
Here's the good news, Webb. I know there's still baseball games going on. We made a few baseball plays today, but it's officially football. It is officially, at the Wager Maker podcast, it is football season.
Football all the time from here on in.
And right on cue,
there
the
Wager
it is. Maker Express comes
right on
in,
by.
Carrying footballs. And
that's right, carrying the players.
Football
taking
season
the Cowboys
brings.
to camp. The Cowboys and Steelers reported today. I think I saw something 50 days until the season starts. I don't know if that's right, but
that's probably right. How long till Hard Knocks? Hard Knocks must mean Hard Knocks will be on soon.
Yeah, it's coming. And the Cowboys play early. Cowboys I think this is a big advantage. They play that Hall of Fame game, and you get to practice early, and then a whole extra game, and especially after last year, especially for the Cowboys. And I just said it because a new coach. It's just not that he's a new coach now, but last season they were scheduled to play. So it would have been. I was looking forward to it because they had a new coach last year. I think it's advantage just starting earlier, especially with the way the rules are now. You can't. Practices are so limited, and it's just a whole nother football game.
Right. So we're ready. Just a few things to announce. Look, we're gonna have now. Thanks to Scott Wheatley, he put up some money. We're gonna have a fantasy football team this year. All this, we're gonna be trying to get this all rolling by next week. Just at least get the nuts and bolts where you can sign up.
Right.
Fantasy Football League. Thanks to Scott Wheatley. Wilbur Investigations putting up money, so we're going to have certainly our survivor pool again this year,
right?
And a college pick'em, and also Nick Perrone and MN3 Technologies also putting up some money, so that to go through it towards, we're going to figure out how much to each goes to each thing.
Yeah, so there's going to be at least, what are we talking? At least 3 things we just said, right? We have a fantasy football, college pick'em. Yep, and the suicide or whatever.
And the suicide. So that'll get us going for sure, and then we'll kind of go from there. And then, Webb, I think big news here in Louisiana. I think DraftKings was just allowed to start working here in Louisiana with the fantasy stuff, not so much with the betting stuff, but at least with their fantasy type plays and stuff
similar
like that.
To what Strive used to do or whatever.
What's that? Yeah, I think similar to Thrive. So I'm going to try and get with them and see if we can get some kind of partnership program with them, where if we send some people that you can use our link to sign up for the DraftKings thing. Webb, speaking of the money with Chris Paul the other day, Saquon Barkley goes up there close to douchebag of the week. He says he's right now his net worth is $40 million. I looked that up, and he says he cannot generate, or he cannot create generational wealth with the money that he has now. So he would like to get all of his other money in, I believe, Bitcoin.
I think that's what he said. Yes. So how many generations is he planning on living? Is he so $40 million is not enough to give his kids and his kids. And he hasn't even signed his second contract yet, which is crazy.
That'll be coming up soon. And not to mention, I mean, I know he gets all kinds of endorsement deals in New York.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. All I could do is shake my head. I'm bitter. Like I said, I'm all older now, and I just can't understand the shit that comes. You're just so completely clueless and out of touch, and just you don't understand life at all. And I don't care if you're going to tell me how hard you grew up. If you don't think that $40 million is enough for you and your kids to live on once you pass away, you're out of your fucking mind. You're out of your corn box.
All you really have to do is not just make terrible investments.
Don't buy a tiger or whatever Mike Tyson did or something. Don't buy it and feed it. Don't buy a tiger and feed it. Live. I don't know, peacocks or something. Don't be fucking ridiculous, and you'll be fine.
All right, and that's what I was talking about. I think part of the reason, like maybe we're just old, Webb, and so a lot of this stuff gets us on our nerves. I was talking to Gargiulo the other day, and I was kind of saying, the way we were brought up, life was so much simpler then. The dads, listen, nowadays, people taking knees for the national anthem, and everybody's got an outlet, and everybody's got to talk about their feelings. And we're talking in the legislature about whether have transgender people running the thing and running the sports and not running the sports. Well, life was so much simpler when our dads taught us, listen, you take your emotions and all this shit and you bottle it way
right.
deep
You stop
down.
them down. That's right.
And then somewhere probably when we were like on our 20s, it came out that some supposed psychologist or something like that says, listen, you really got to let this stuff out. You know, it's not healthy to bottle things down. Life was so much simpler when we all did with our emotions what they're supposed to do. Bottle them up and push them way deep down in the bottoms of your soul. And life was so much better then, Webb.
Really, it was so much simpler. It's right. Much less headaches. It's just right. True. No. Are you upset? No. What's the matter? Nothing.
I'm good. All
right. What do you mean? Good. No. I'm going to use the men's room. I'm going to tell a joke. You know, I'm going to tell a joke, an off-color joke based on a true stereotype. And no one's going to really get offended. Then the guy who I thought was going to the Polish guy is going to tell an Italian joke after I tell the Polish joke to get me back. And then we're going to sit down and laugh at each other, and that's it.
Right. And have a good old time. Have a good old time.
Right. No one's feeling or hurt, and no one's, no one did anything. Everyone went home and went to sleep, and it was fine.
Things are so different. I went to a comedy show the other night. I don't know if you heard of this guy, Sebastian Maniscalco.
Ah, of course.
Super funny dude. And this guy opening up for him. His name was Pat McGann, and he's talking about he's got his kids are in baseball, probably about the same age as you, and he's talking about how much different it is now, with the parents and what you're yelling to the kids and what you're able to say. He's like, back when we were kids, like if somebody sucked, you knew it. He came up and the coach would come out of the dugout and say, no, come on in, move it in. He's got glasses on. He's allergic to everything. Why are you standing way back there? I got a kick out of it because it was too. He's looking for a walk. You never hear anybody yell that. He's looking for a walk. He ain't swinging. He ain't swinging. He's looking for a walk. Nobody yells that.
I can never say that from the dugout.
No, you're not even allowed to say that anymore.
No way.
That was back in the day. No, he's not even trying. He's trying to get hit. He's trying to get hit.
In.
Right. No, in. So that was a funny little comedy routine the guy did the other day. I thought that was a kick because it's so true to shit that was basic shit. No, come in.
Right. Oh yeah. No,
he's looking for a walk. He's not going to swing. Right. He's not going to swing.
Right. He's afraid. That's it. Right. That's basic. Forget about how you coach him. Forget that.
Oh shit. Good stuff. So, Webb, we get into college football a little bit. There's some talk now about. I mean, first of all, with the people using name, image, and likeness. I don't know how this is going to change the game. It's going to change the game crazy. We got people. I think you said the Alabama quarterback hasn't even taken a snap yet. He's making $1 million a year. We talked about Arch Manning last week. Possibly could be making $10 million a year by the time he even goes to college. Just unbelievable stuff going on.
There's these two. I don't know if I mentioned this. There's these two girls that play basketball for Fresno State. These two twins from Arizona, and they were like the first ones out there. Devin follows them. I'm sure they're making millions of dollars, and they're just these two. I mean, they're very talented basketball players, obviously playing Division I basketball, but they're cute blonde girls, and they kind of do everything with a basketball because they're twins, and they got a bunch, and they dance around, and a bunch of people follow them on TikTok. Equals, they're Now it's odd that they couldn't do it. It's weird. It's definitely weird, but it's odd that they could do it if it wasn't for that, you know what I mean? Name, image, likeness. So it's crazy.
Right. And there's talk now, college football, possibly even talking about going to a 12-team playoff system. I think your boy Leach mentioned some things about that.
Leach wanted 64. How does that, you're going to have a 64-team tournament? It's football. You can't play every other day. How is it going to? That's called the season. Or
just have the whole season be a tournament.
That's it. And then what about the teams that aren't, good enough or something like that?
They lose the first game. That's it.
Season's over. Right. I don't even know how you can. And Dabo Sweeney said there's not even 12 teams good enough, and he's right.
He's right. There's not 12 teams good enough.
You're going to have teams with 4 losses or 5? I mean, come on. Listen, it was flawed when he just voted on it, but it was always really close to. I mean, in our entire lives, how many times?
The 4 teams. One of the best teams is in there.
Right.
Now, you can make it the 5 and 4 can argue something, but that's what's going to happen. Just like we see in the NCAA tournament. Let's say they have 64 teams. And the big story every selection day is the 65th team, the 66th
right?
team,
Yeah,
and the 67th team.
Yeah.
So you can have as many teams as you want. There's always going to be somebody with a
one,
beef.
right?
Well, I
right.
beat them and they beat them.
Yeah.
So why are we not in and they're not in?
Gonna have 100 teams and the 101 teams gonna be like, how come we're not in?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, but even when it was just the 8, when the whoever voted on it, it seemed like every year there was only a couple years when you could have said, man, maybe that wasn't the right team. It seemed like always the best team, or one of the best. Even if someone got upset, like when Miami lost to Alabama, I think one year, but it was in the championship game.
Right.
So
yeah,
I don't know.
One of the best teams was in it.
Right.
You know what I mean? They might get knocked off going in, but not by the 6th team or whatever.
Right. But even 4 teams is good. I mean, that gives us something to look forward to, and they do. In my opinion, it's always been the best team is won in those couple of years that they've been doing it, anyways. And it does create some good matchups. It's meaningful matchups. Like years past, if Ohio State was playing whoever they played, Clemson, say in the Orange Bowl, it didn't matter who won. That wasn't the championship game, so there wasn't as much intrigue or the game wasn't as big. Now that game means something because whoever wins the game is going to go to the championship game.
Right. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see, but it's all about, it's all about the dollars, and maybe having 12 teams means 6 bigger games and all that other shit. But, to me, the bowl games have lost all interest whatsoever other than gambling interest of it.
Well, that's gambling. The whole it's all basically, if it wasn't for gambling, there'd be no NBA. Let's fucking face it. And then a lot of these things, there'd be nothing. But now they're even talking about, what are they doing? Just one super conference? I don't know. What's the point of that? Why would they do that?
Well, I think actually it came out today. I think, I don't know how reliable a source, but Texas and Oklahoma reached out to the SEC to try and, I think what they're trying to do is get this big super conference and blow off the NCAA altogether, where they have no say. I think that's what they're trying to do.
Like the SEC just be its own league, but then, I mean, they'd have to play. I mean, obviously, it looks like probably the best team. But why? I mean, why do they need to do that to tell the NCAA to fuck off? I guess is my question.
That's true. I don't know how the contracts work, but I think they're just talking about making this. I heard who are they doing? Mike Dutillier, a guy down here in New Orleans radio that's pretty well in the know, and it's like, they're trying to get this thing with maybe they take 2 or 3 from every conference. The big, like obviously Texas and Oklahoma, the 2 big ones in the Big 12. Maybe you take Notre Dame, you take the Clemsons and the stuff like that, and then you have this big, just 25 team conference that just does their own thing. And then maybe at that point they're using name, image, likeness. They're paying dudes who knows what.
Well, I mean, at that point, what's the sense of even? I mean, why is it even college? I mean, why just have a minor league? I mean, what's the difference? Why would Arch Manning go from that? Just stay playing. I mean, just stay where he's at. He's making 10 or whatever. He's making $25 million from the NIL anyway. What's the difference? I mean, I don't understand. And why would someone like what? Then the Pac-10 would just cease to exist, or the Pac-10 would be like,
well, USC would go over, and they would keep existing, but
there would just be none. It would be like that'd be like a Division 1A or 2. Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know that I'm for that. I don't know.
Well, I'm not saying I'm for it. I'm just saying this is what they're looking. I think this is what they're looking to do. That's what came out of that story of, when people say, why would Texas and Oklahoma want to join the SEC at this point in the game? This is what I think they're trying to get this thing going, but who knows?
I think Texas too is one of those teams similar to Notre Dame, where they don't really need that money. Like, it's not a team. I mean, Oklahoma may be in the same situation. Texas doesn't only network. I mean, that's they, not that they're winning championship, but there's a lot of fucking money for them. They don't really need to be lifted up. They don't need that any assistance, really. They could buy their way into anywhere. So I don't know. And I think they're going to be good too with Sarkisian going over there, as long as he can stays on the right path. I think they're going to be good.
Right. Also want to send a shout out, dude. We grew up watching. The Florida State Seminoles were big time in our life when we were growing up. Big, monsters of the college football scene when we were coming up. Obviously, Bobby Bowden is, I guess he's in bad, poor physical health at this point. But at 90-some years old, it's just
91.
Kind of way it goes.
I said this to you before. And again, I'm not trying to be dick. I don't want anyone to be upset, but he's terminally ill. Isn't every 91-year-old human being terminally ill? I mean, how fucking long are you going to live? We're all terminally ill at 91. Anything can happen. You could catch a cold. I mean, come on. It's sad. He's well-known sports figure, but you could say that about anyone that's 91 years old.
Yep. Good run. Great. We showed, I guess, how good of a coach he was, because Florida State, since he left, has not been
awful.
Shit.
Awful.
I mean, they hung around for a little while under Jimbo Fisher after he left, but really, you could say that was just holding on to what he had established. You know what I mean?
He's done. Yeah, absolutely. And he won. I think I saw Nick Saban turned 70 or is turning 70 or something, and the only other coach to win a championship 70 or older was Bobby Bowden.
Yeah, good coach. I remember Coach O. Onus, Frio-Borough High School, always was a big fan of Bobby Bowden. He had a picture of him up in the
Bobby Bowden doing just fine. There. He's had a good run.
I don't know. I wish more of Bobby Bowden would have rubbed off on Coach O. Yeah. But Onus, if you're out there listening, give us a call. You come on.
That's right. That's right. Get your followers. We need the likes.
Yeah. Speaking of Nick Saban. Deion Sanders, now he's the coach down here. I guess it's Jackson State or something. But he I guess he kicked somebody out. He ended a press conference early the other day because the guy was the reporter was calling him Deion. Didn't give his proper respect, I guess.
It wasn't that. I mean, it wasn't as like at first it wasn't bad. Like it wasn't that bad. Like the guy goes, just call me coach, okay? And the guy goes, okay, Deion. Then Deion gets up and takes like the headphones off and. He's like, you wouldn't call Nick Saban. He goes, I call him Nick all the time. That's exactly what I call him. He's like, I'll show you the tape. He goes, no, you don't. He's like, I'm telling you, I call him Nick. He goes, no, you don't. He goes, okay, Deion. And he took up the heads off and walked off. And I mean, I'm a big primetime fan. I loved him when he was on the Cowboys. But when you're going to start comparing yourself to Nick Saban, let's win something, at Jackson State before you compared, Nick Saban, who won a championship at LSU and is like got the juggernaut that is Alabama right now. Everyone, can we just, like you said, can we just not take ourselves so fucking serious? Just answer the kid's question.
Well, the thing with this, I kind of like what Deion's what coach is doing.
Right.
There, just because he's trying to set a tone. I think of like a different kind of mindset. But the problem with Deion Sanders is like, anybody's ever known Nick Saban as the coach. Right. Everybody knows Deion as Deion, like whatever the hell. It's always been Deion.
He built that
prime time or whatever. You're
gonna blame us for thinking it.
So if you want to do that and say, look, I want to be from now on referred to as this, come out and say it ahead of time. Listen, guys, from now on, I would like for you to call me Mr. Sanders, the coach Sanders. Yeah. Whatever you want to be, let it be known ahead of time. And then if you don't do it, it's a sign of respect. Shit. There was times when people called Ocho Cinco because he just asked all you have to do is say something ahead of time.
I mean, listen, he cultivated that image and like thrived in it. Like every neon Deion signs on him. He was on the cover of Sports with 75 gold chains. Yes, he was younger. But okay, you can't take a lifetime to build it's like now Coke, like, hey, Coca-Cola, what's up, Coke? No, don't call me Coke, call me Coca-Cola. Come on, just at least take some time. But like even say, listen, guys, set some parameters. Listen, I know, even acknowledge at least. Listen, I know you've known me as this. I'm a coach now. I'm trying to
set a tone here, be a certain way in front of the players.
Leader of men, trying to shape up some young men. I'd appreciate it if we can, and I'll act accordingly. Whatever.
All right. So what we got? We got anything else we want to talk about tonight?
Everyone annoys me these days, Smith. Everything. I'm bitter.
Yeah. That's what the show turns into every week. It's just
us getting annoyed by
everybody.
But especially talking about how much money people make. It's crazy.
Sounded like my grandpa every fucking day on this stuff.
Yeah. Not only that, you see, I mean, they're signing linebackers to $100 million contracts.
The dude from San Francisco, right?
Werner got 95, and now the other dude, the Leonard's going to beat that today. And then, let's see. What do you think? I was curious. What do you think's going to happen? They got Stanky or whatever his name is, the SEC commissioner came out and said they're not going to postpone any games. You're either going to play the scheduled game, or he said the word forfeit is going to come into play.
Well, I think
they're going to expand the roster.
They're not bullshitting with this. They want to get people vaccinated. I think it's that simple. And we're not going to dick around with the schedule every weekend and try and figure something out. Either have your dudes ready to play or have some dudes in a uniform. You better have your uniforms out there on the field.
Right.
I don't care who's in them.
Right.
I don't care who's in them.
And I applaud that.
It's fine. I'm tired of all this shit. Let's fucking play ball. Like I have a feeling, Webb. I have a feeling these Olympics are getting ready to get.
Yeah, I think you might be right. You might be right about that. And sad too. We just got me and Dev. I just recorded the women's softball. They're back in the Olympics since first time since like 2008. So I'm hoping they play just for that. And then my man Jerry Jones was out there today, basically crying a little bit. He dropped a couple F-bombs about how things went down with Jimmy Johnson. He actually fell on his story. So he was as credible and as genuine about it. It was his job to keep it together, and he didn't do it. And he tried a couple F-bombs, and then he got like teary-eyed, like he choked up a little bit talking about it. I think the quote is, "I'd do anything to make the Super Bowl. There's not anything in mankind. I wouldn't do anything in mankind to make the Super Bowl." So I was glad to hear that. And I'm glad to see he knows he fucked that thing up years ago. But
you know what it sounds like to me, Webb?
Hard Knocks.
First episode of Hard Knocks is being recorded. Is being recorded as we speak. Is what I think, Webb.
I thought
that sounds like a play for the show right there. If I ever thought I was, we've been waiting for him to say something about Jimmy Johnson for years. He waits till Hard Knocks.
Yeah. And
I'll have to check my local listings and see when that show's coming on.
Well,
usually it's like 1 week into the training camp they start rolling it.
Well, yeah, I don't know if that's going to be next week or this week for them. Like I said, we started earlier, so I don't know if it starts for them or not. But that's it,
everybody.
That covers my list.
All right, so everybody, listen. We're gonna get more into the football in coming weeks. I mean, it's time. It's almost snuck up. Like we kind of been dilly-dallying these last few weeks a little bit, but now it's sneaking up.
Now it's coming. The Wager Maker Express is bringing it to us.
Yeah, so we'll get this shit together. I'm gonna start getting our picks on the Sports Watch. I'm gonna start getting some. We're gonna figure out something. If you got some ideas how we could fucking spruce this show up a little bit and make some more stuff happen. We're gonna have some good pools going on. We'll talk about those every week. But hey, if you got ideas, we're here to listen. Anyway, Devin's gonna tell you about how to listen on YouTube.
Hey guys, it's Devin. Make sure you subscribe to the Wager Makers podcast on YouTube, like all their videos, and click that bell so that you turn on your post notifications and you never miss another video.
Thanks, Devin. Thanks, John Gross, C. Really, Little Saint the Goat, MN3 Technologies, Nick Perrone, Wilbur Investigations, and George Burge, Scott Wheatley, and everybody else who listens all the time. Thank you so much. Webb, take us out.
Brick by brick, baby. It's coming. The Wager Makers Express bringing football season to us. Fantasy football. College is even coming sooner than that. I think that's like the 28th of next month, something like that. College pick'em, and then also obviously our second annual suicide, whatever you want to call it, knockout pool. So thanks for listening, everybody. No free lunch in any of those. Tell a friend, and tell them to tell a friend. Let's get this stuff going. There'll be some more money in the pools.
Welcome to the Wager Makers podcast with Webb and Smith.
Yeah. Hey, shout out Wager Maker Podcast.
Brick by brick, baby.
Yeah.
Here comes the Wager Maker
Here I go.
Express.
I hear y'all sick of losing money cause y'all don't know how to bet. Better hit that Wager Maker Podcast with Smith and Webb. They gon' show y'all how to do this. Take these notes like y'all some students. Y'all can't seem to pick them right. Well, tonight y'all lucky night. It's that Wager Maker Podcast. Wager Maker Podcast. Wager Maker Podcast. Your bookie getting sick cause we built this brick by brick. It's that Wager Maker Podcast. It's that Wager Maker Podcast. It's that Wager Maker Podcast. Come and place your bets with that WM Express. Let's go.